Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.
We're proud of what the team has built and, where we've come and where we're going. Always trying to add different layers to the weekend, make it special for our community, keeping it that family-friendly, free event.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. Very pleased to welcome back to the porch for his second visit in a couple of months, Willy Taillon from the Rise Up Hot Air Balloon Festival.
Good morning, Brian.
I'm glad to have you back here. I got to tell you that the film that was shown at the Monarch Theater was fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. Yep.
And if you are not a balloon fanatic by now, watch that and you will be. It was incredible.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we were really happy to the outcome of it. My wife and I, we didn't see it till the first time till that weekend, and we were blown away on the many little different stories in there with a balloon festival happening in the background. And yeah, we're excited for those folks that didn't see it. It's going to be available soon on YouTube.
Good.
We're really proud of it.
I remember that night going into the theater, and you told me, you said, you'll laugh and you'll cry. And I said, well, I'm going to cry. There's no balloon, problems. Nobody crashed or anything. But there was a piece in there that did get to the heart.
Yeah, there was a couple of resilient pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And really connects with our nonprofit, Our Collective Journey. And it just shows that every walks of life that there's people facing, issues and being resilient. And we showcased a couple in that film. And there was a couple tears shed. So it was good. Yeah,
it really brought the emotion out. It also brought the community of balloonists to the forefront.
Absolutely, yeah. And watching that film, seeing the many different little stories. The one story was about volunteers. And the one volunteer said, she volunteers in a lot of different organizations, and she sees the same faces every time she's out volunteering. And she nailed it right on the head when she said that volunteers are what make the community, and welcoming everyone to make sure things happen.
Yeah, and one of the balloonists, I think she shared her story that she was camping one time and somebody was putting a hot air balloon up, launching it, and she was standing there and they said, you want to help? And so she got right in there and she got infected with the balloon disease.
Yeah, absolutely. And 50 years later, she was in Medicine Hat attending the Rise Up Festival.
Yeah. 5th annual. Kind of hard to believe, eh?
Very hard.
Yeah. That spark that you started back in 2021, I guess it was.
Yep, absolutely. We're proud of what the team has built and, where we've come and where we're going. Always trying to add different layers to the weekend, make it special for our community, keeping it that family-friendly, free event. The balloon pilots are all excited. I seen 13 of them this past weekend in Drumheller. We had a little meet and fly up, and everyone's talking about Rise Up and gearing up for the trip down to Medicine Hat. So we're really excited.
Yeah. Now you have people coming from Canada and the U.S.
Yep, absolutely. We actually have a pilot that's coming from Belgium.
Belgium.
He lives half the year in Belgium and half the year in Ennis, Montana. Okay. And he's got a special balloon. It's a shape. Some people might have seen some pictures already on our socials. If not, they'll be kind of coming out on our socials in the next day or so. So he's probably traveling the furthest if his home country is Belgium. But really, really good pilot and even nicer man coming. So
when I was watching that film, it struck me at the various designs and where these people come up with their ideas and who makes, I guess, the actual balloon fabric. Is it canvas? What's it made out of?
No, so there's a couple different materials you can go with. My balloon is ripstop nylon, and just different manufacturers are trying to find materials that are lighter, but obviously are gonna not break down with the UV or the extra heat that we put in the balloons. There's probably 5 or 6 main manufacturers in the world, and people are now starting to do home builds. buying the material, and they're building their own balloons.
Are there specifications you must follow to have a balloon?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just like any aircraft, you get your annual maintenance on it. It gets tested. It's just like a fixed wing aircraft. You log all your hours. If you see any problems, it has to get inspected. And if you go over 100 hours in a year, you'll need an inspection as well.
Okay. Now this year there's a lot of new things that are happening. I think the one that struck me was the night flights on the Thursday, Friday as well, and Saturday?
Yep, absolutely. So just like our morning flights, our Thursday flight is still going to be determined by the actual wind, because our goal is to fly over the city of Medicine Hat. The Friday and Saturday, we split into two groups, so half the group is going to glow that evening. The other half, if the weather is permitting, they're going to fly right out of King Cooley. So we're going to predetermine Friday and Saturday night flights right there. So hopefully we get good weather that weekend. The flights will go off, and when they leave the park, another half of the balloons, the second half of the balloons will show up, and they're going to glow for all the spectators. So we're just going to keep it all to King Cooley on the Friday and Saturday nights.
Now, you have multiple launch sites this year for a reason.
We do. Like I was saying, right before our safety briefing, we gather wind data with a drone and a wind sonde. The Balloon Meister will find a spot that will track us over the city, and then he will lead all the balloons out. And, having the 5 launch locations, very happy with working with the city and them allowing to use 5 of their fields for the weekend. Allows us to, if people are, don't want to be around the crowds or, just the traffic and all that, well, they can stay home, and hopefully the balloons will fly over the majority of the city.
Will balloons go from more than one location, or will there just be one location each time?
It'll be one location each time. In the past years, on our Thursday morning, our first flight, we've gone at 4 different locations. Now that we've grown, we looked at it as a planning team, and just for safety reasons, we're all going to stick together. That way, the lead balloon is our Balloon Meister. He'll kind of lead the pack over the skies. Makes it easier for the airport tower as well. So when that lead balloon goes off, he'll make contact, and then when the last balloon off the field, he'll to say that the last balloon is launched, and then we just reverse the order. When we start landing, we'll let the airport know that first balloon's landed, and then when the last balloon's landed, just for safety reasons. We're sharing the skies with other people, so we want to be courteous to them, and just keep everyone safe.
Yeah, safety on the ground too for people who are following balloons, because sometimes you're driving and looking at the balloon and trying to follow it, and what's happening in front of me?
Absolutely, yeah. Safety's number one. So if you see the balloons and you're excited, we get it. Just find a spot to park, and then just get out of your vehicle and take your pictures while you're stopped and safely parked on the parking spot or on the side of the road. And we don't need to cause any accidents. Everyone's excited, not just yourself. So if you're driving, eyes on the road, find the nearest parking lot and then pull over and take pictures.
Community Day, Saturday, the 23rd of May. Something that you've been looking forward to, food and fellowship.
Absolutely. So this year, hopefully weather permitting, we get a beautiful Saturday morning flight. And then we're going to kick off our Community Day with a free pancake breakfast at the Medicine Hat College from 9 to 11. We are going to rope off an area for all the balloon pilots, their trucks and trailers, and we're going to have them in a nice line. And people are welcome, to come for a free pancake and coffee or orange juice and meet the pilots, and chat about that morning flight, or maybe even the Thursday or the Friday flights. Show us your pictures, meet the pilots, and then at 10 a.m. the college will open up and our market will start. We have art party for all the kids. We're going to show a couple movies. I think we're going to show Rise Up the film that day. So, we're going to share it one more time with our community. And then when that all finishes at 4 o'clock, people can just leave their vehicles at the college and walk down to King Cooley Park. There'll be food trucks set up, ready to serve you some supper. And then just enjoy. Hopefully we'll be flying that night, and then half the balloons will be glowing for everyone right at dusk.
Yeah. Talk about the glows. How do they do that?
So the glows are normally done after the sun sets. Planning a festival in May I never really looked at when the sun sets. So it's
late.
Yeah, it is late. So sun sets around about 9:10 to 9:15. So ours is more of like a twinkle. So we set up the balloons just out of respect for the safety side of things. The pilots are going to fly early the next morning. So we're going to try to have the balloons inflated. And once they're all inflated, we'll let the spectators come up and meet the pilots and see the balloons up close and, touch the basket, look and see how big they are in person. And then, sun will set while they're up. So, you'll get those cool photos and videos of, just the balloons illuminating the sky. And then about 9:30, we'll bring the balloons down safely. The pilots will go get some refuel, some propane, and then hopefully fly the next day.
Yeah, that should be good light for photos right around twilight there.
I think so. I'm not really the photographer, but the pictures I see on Facebook and social media are just amazing. So, yeah, hopefully we get another million pictures this week coming up at our festival, our 5th annual.
Add to the gallery.
Yes.
One of the things that stood out for me when I watched the film was the fact that there are no steering wheels on these balloons. There's not a rudder. You just have to go with the wind.
Absolutely. So that's our pre-planning when we're looking at the weathers. We're looking at different altitudes, different wind direction, different wind speed. So we kind of have a game plan of, where we're going. For me, having the winds calm on the surface for when we launch and when we land are the two most important. And then just knowing at different altitudes we can, change our direction. And then when it comes to landing, knowing those directions and directional change is like passing a puck in hockey. You don't pass where the player is, you pass where he's going to be, right? So if you see a landing spot and you're coming and it's going to push you to the right or left, well, you want to be right or left of that landing zone. So then when you do come low and it pushes you to the right, you're going to be right over your target and you can land your balloon.
You mentioned the Balloon Meister. What is his role?
So he's kind of the director. He's going to adhere to all the Transport Canada safety regulations that we all go through. He makes the call if we're going to fly or not fly. It's a stressful position because everyone's come from a long way and we all want to fly. But when you have a sanctioned event through Transport Canada, everything has to be about safety. So if he feels that it's not going to be a safe flight, he'll say, no, we're not flying today. We're still going to try to do something for our community, but he makes the ultimate call. He's got 49 years of experience in flying balloons commercially all over the world. So everyone, looks up to him and respects him. He's a very good pilot, Canadian champ, been to Worlds. So he has the resume to do that job, and I'm thankful that he does it for Rise Up, just because I think just everyone respects him, and when he makes a call, it's not just because he doesn't want to go flying. It's for safety.
When I was watching the video or in the film, I liked how you check for the wind. Real high-tech device, little coffee cup and a string and a balloon.
Absolutely. So in that coffee cup's a little windsawn. And the film did a really good job of explaining it, but that helium balloon just goes to atmosphere, and every, I think it's every 10 seconds. It's just reporting data, wind data, speed, and direction back to the computer. And what it didn't tell in the film, though, is once we've gathered that data, there's the circuit boarder will cut that string, and that cup will fall to the ground, and the GPS on there. So then our safety team will go out and get that cup and retrieve that SON, because that's pretty much the motherboard that we need. So then we reuse it for the next flight.
Okay. The wind at various altitudes, different directions. Are you getting maybe 4 different directions and different wind speeds?
Absolutely. If you, for example, down in Albuquerque, they'll go for a flight, they'll go one direction, and then they'll go up or, say 5 to 1,000 feet higher than that, and they'll actually go back to their same launch location. So they can go travel out for a distance, go up, come back over where they launched, come back down, and then catch that wind and come back and land on the field. So they call it boxing the field. Mm-hmm. So, I've never achieved it. I've never had the winds that allowed me to do that. But when we go to Mexico, that's exactly what we do. We launch, we're kind of at the base of a mountain. So if we stay low, we go south, go up 500 feet, and you start heading northwest over this beautiful golf course. And you try to get as the furthest you can on the golf course, and then you come back down just off the ground, and then you'll start going south again. So,
yeah. Is there a maximum altitude?
Depending where you are, yes, there is. No, I shouldn't say depending where you are. To answer your question, yes, there is. At 12,500 feet above sea level, that's when oxygen rules come into play.
Okay.
So depending on what you start at elevation, so Medicine Hat, we're at 670 meters. So we're already up there. So now I just switched from meters to feet, and I'm going to confuse myself. But most pilots will fly between 500 and 3,000 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now your safety briefing, you don't get to sleep in. It
No.
says here it starts at around 5:15 in the morning.
absolutely. So Balloon Meister, myself, a lot of the pilots, they're checking their weather apps and all that. So kind of have a good idea on flight path, if we're going to be flying or not. And then right at 6:30, as per Transport Canada, we do roll call, make sure everyone's in attendance. The Balloon Meister will go over the weather data. He'll give you his opinion, and then he'll make the call if we're going to the field or not. So yeah, it's early mornings. That's why we start our glow a little bit early, just so the pilots, can get their 7-8 hours sleep, before their next flight.
And your social media is the place to go to find out what's happening at that time.
Absolutely. So last year we incorporated a live feed, so you can actually watch our safety briefing. So we start recording once Dale, our Balloon Meister, goes over the safety or the weather, and then you'll know firsthand. He might delay it. He might want to go to the field and see what's happening on the ground there. So we might delay the launch. Just to give us a good idea, because we're doing our weather at our hotel. But say if the winds are coming out of the north, we might want to go to the Big Go Marble Center and actually see what the winds are doing. And then he can make that final decision.
Yeah. Does the river valley affect anything in terms
Absolutely.
of the weather?
Absolutely. So the winds will kind of follow down that river valley. So depending on the direction it's going, you might get into a valley. We were just in Drumheller, and we followed the river the whole way. So it was winding, but if you were just off the surface of the river and there was a bend, your balloon was kind of following the river. So it was a lot of fun to play around. There was 13 balloons, and we had a lot of fun this weekend.
Is there a recipe for a perfect flying day? Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect flying day.
Every day.
Every day we go flying. This past weekend, our Saturday morning flight was, anywhere between 6 to 10 kilometers an hour, and it was no wind on the ground. So literally landed on like a side road, waited for our crew to come. They helped, deflate the balloon, and we packed it up, and, this past weekend was a really good flight. I'm hoping to get a couple in before the festival, create a bit of the hype leading up to 21st. So
how many balloons are going to be here?
we got 35 coming.
Okay. Is that on par with previous years?
We've been growing, 4 or 5 balloons each year. We started with 16 in year one, went to 20, 23. Last year we had 30 on paper. One had an injury and one didn't meet the criteria for Transport Canada's paperwork. So we had 28 last year. So we jumped up 7 this year. Okay. So we're excited. We're just so appreciative of our community sponsors too, helping us to financially put on this festival. So without them, we wouldn't be able to host as many balloons. And to our repeat sponsors that come back every year and say we love what you're doing and keep on doing it. So we're able to keep it as a free event for the City of Medicine Hat. Talk
a little bit about Our Collective Journey, because that's the partner that you work with.
Yeah. So they're the nonprofit that puts on the festival. They started in 2020. I started my ballooning adventure in 2020 when I got into the sport. They're helping people rise up out of mental health and addiction issues with one way of using shared experiences. Now we started this festival just to get their name out. We've been educating people about the festival and the workings of hot air balloons and all that, and we think we've done a really good job in the first 4 years. With the film, it really showed the connection and the metaphor between helping people rise up in the community and the connection and the hope. And the hope is there that, not every day is a good day. When we don't fly, we're bummed out, but there's other things that can happen. But when we do fly, it's pretty magical, and that's like one of those days when you're having a good day. So yeah, we're really excited. They're doing great work in the community. They got the support from the government of Alberta, collaborating with a whole bunch of different organizations, and yeah.
And I believe there's a podcast there too.
There is, From Darkness to Life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah. 5
years now?
Yeah, they've been doing it. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is 5 years. Yeah. Poncho Parker's the host on that, and they got some really good people on there sharing their life experiences and, hitting rock bottom and digging themselves out and, what they've achieved and, sharing that message, right? So, yeah, if you're in a dark spot and you need to reach out, just reach out to someone. There's many different organizations. Our collective journey just being one of the cogs in the wheel of just helping people navigate that, that recovery or, that peace.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we float away?
Yeah, we're 2 weeks away. Balloons will start arriving to Medicine Hat. Yeah, we're excited. We have 7 scheduled flights, the 2 balloon glows, our community days all day Saturday at the Medicine Hat College, lots of parking. It spills over into King Cooley Park, so, we got you covered that way. If everyone could just pray for some good flying weather, it'd be really, really good, really helpful. Yeah, balloons are excited. I'm excited, and we're ready for the 5th annual.
Is there opportunity for people to volunteer?
Still able to volunteer. Yep, there's links on our Instagram and social and our Facebook. Also, if you go to mhriseup.ca, riseup.mh.ca, one of the two, I can never remember. Or if you just Google Rise
We'll
Up.
put it on the bottom here.
Absolutely. There's a link to I Volunteer. There's still room to, if you want to get, hands-on, you can, join a balloon crew if you want to help with parking, if you want to help with setup and all the good stuff behind the scenes. I think we're over 200 volunteers already. So we've got an army. If you want to join that army of volunteers, you're more than welcome. We'll take, anyone that wants to help out over the weekend.
5th Annual Rise Up Hot Air Balloon Festival in Medicine Hat, May 21st to the 24th. Willy Taillon, thanks for the visit.
Thank you very much.
Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.